Hey, it would help if I'm not on mute that whole time. What's up, my writing weirdos? Hey, this is BC, and I am BC Brown Books, where we like to get weird about words in the ways that only writers can. We write them, and we talk about writing them. And today we're going to do a little bit of both because this is a pop-up stream. I decided, okay, I had this dream night before last that would... I have a lot of dreams that I think will make fantastic stories. But this particular dream, once I woke up, it didn't go away as being oh, that's not going to be a good story after all, which is what most of my dreams do. But this particular one stuck with me when I was like in that happy little medium oblivion place. And so I decided I really wanted to write on it yesterday. However, yesterday was my all chores day, and I didn't have a chance to write on it. So today I told myself I was actually going to write on it because when I get an idea for a new project, or any idea rather, stuck in my brain, I can't let it go. Like it worries at me and gnaws at me and just chews at me. And so I thought, okay, I definitely have to get around to writing this because I didn't write it yesterday. I didn't sit down and at least sketch it out a little bit. I immediately started after my fingers, which is what I do. You see how red it is around the edges there. Which is what I do whenever I can't get to something right away and something is just gnawing at me. So I decided that's what I wanted to do today. I was going to do this pop-up stream a little bit earlier. I had it all scheduled out and all planned and everything. And then I saw Authortube karaoke was going on Meadow's channel. And, so I was like, okay, well, I want to go to Authortube karaoke for a little bit because it's just amazing and a fun time. And I wanted to spend time with everyone. But obviously, doing the stream as well is important to me because if I don't get this idea out of my brain, it's going to drive me nuts. So just to let everybody know, anything going on in the background, I do apologize. My partner is home today doing some homework, and we are sharing the office, of course. And we both have allergies that are just wrecking us. So I can barely catch my breath because of my allergies today because I have asthma. But I'm going to write this shit anyway. And I'm going to wait to see if YouTube censors me because if some of you don't know, YouTube has been doing a lot of censorship lately with taking down streams and or adding information to streams. Also not letting people post links in the moderators that I have dubbed and everybody else has dubbed being awesome and can post links and stuff like that. It hasn't been letting him do it. So I don't know what's going on with YouTube lately, but hopefully my foul mouth stream will be able to stay up. Hello, darling Sako. I enjoyed your singing very much, and I enjoyed your Baby It's Cold Outside and your yelling at the cat right in the middle of the song. That was great too. Loved it. So like I was saying, I had this dream rather about the Fae, which I have a lot of dreams about fairies, but most of them are not. Okay, for some reason my dog outside is freaking out. Must be a dog outside the fence or something along those lines. Who knows? I don't know. So apparently this is going to be the day with a whole bunch of background stuff going on. I'm going to do my very best to do a full 2-hour stream because I'm sure I'm going to need it in order to work on this project, but I can already feel myself getting winded, which sucks. Having asthma and having allergies on top of asthma really, really sucks. At least I'm hoping it's allergies. Maybe I should go get a test. I don't know. I haven't really been anywhere, but we were exposed a couple of weeks ago. I thought I was at the end of the 2-week mark, but hold on real quick. Anyway, sorry about that. So yeah, I should probably go get tested, but today we're just going to assume it's allergies for right now, and I'll go and do that later. My dog's just going to keep barking no matter that I yell at her in the background, so it doesn't matter. Gonna do 20-minute sprints today. What is everybody else working on? Because yeah, I was kind of really scatterbrained today. So there's a dream that I had. Oh, okay. I gotta see what's going on. Okay. Sorry, everyone. Just had to apparently get up and yell at her at the window, not yell at her from my desk, which would be far more convenient. But what I was talking about, I had this great dream where this particular fae was trying to steal the souls of humans and convince them to become not convince them to become fae, but basically trick them into becoming fae, into giving up their souls. And the dream itself was focused for some reason around reading and the importance of being a true believer and a reader. I don't know. So I'm gonna see if I can narrow it down a little bit, because I drifted in the sweet oblivion between half sleep and half wakefulness, and it kind of had plotted it out in my head a little bit. But of course, it's not ideal. It's not ideally done, and it's not completely solidified in my head. I don't get it. My dog's not usually much of a barker. She's not somebody that just barks randomly. So I hope I'm gonna actually be able to do a stream today without just a whole bunch of random interference and stuff. All right, so let's go to the first sprint so I can go check on my dog and find out what the hell is going on with my dog. So we're going to do 20 minutes rather quickly on the clock to go ahead and get that started so that I can go and check and see what's going on apparently in my backyard or my front yard or whatever. So starting sprint in 3, 2, 1. Sprint. Baby beep, baby beep, baby beep. So time is up for the first sprint. So how did everybody do? Sorry about it having to be such an abrupt sprint. I went and we figured out what my dog was freaking out about. There was some random cat, which is not unusual for us given that we feed the neighborhood cats, that was up on the wall of the backyard. Most of the cats know to kind of stay off the back wall and out of our backyard because of the dogs. But this one, I guess, is kind of new. So I had to like let the dogs in and everything. So that took up a few minutes of my sprint, but not too bad. I am using Story Planner today to kick off my character profiles and to just kind of start doing, the take off your pants outline, which if you guys don't know what Story Planner is, it's storyplanner.com. It's really amazing. It has both a paid but a really encompassing free version as well, or free subscription as well, that you can go on and start an account and use amazing resources just to get you started on stories. Since I learned about it, which was not that long ago, it was actually like back this summer, I think, that I learned about it, I've totally been using it for like every idea. And some of my ideas that I've had, once I start to get in, like, they seem phenomenal. Of course, they all seem phenomenal. That's just, we're writers. That's what happens. But like once I've gotten into the whole take off your pants like outline, which is my favorite one to use, I realized that they're just like crappy ideas. They're not great. This one, I'm not so sure. It's shaping up to be great. I need to put a little more thought into it. But that's what the sprints are for today. So Spence popped in and is going to make some sugar cookies today. Man, I would just love like being your neighbor, or just like I'd always be over there. I'd be eating all the time. I just eat all the time. I'd be that annoying neighbor that would invite myself over constantly and be like, "Ooh, you have new stuff today? Yay!" Kind of a thing. So I'd be that annoying person. So yeah, I started doing my the first part of the take off your pants outline, which is where you start thinking about your character, your main character, and then it evolves into what their character flaws are, what their most important features are, get you thinking about the end of the story and kind of the goals that you want to achieve, the external goals of the character, the main conflict, the antagonist, the inciting incident. So I did that. What I am being hung up on right now is how the antagonist is really actually opposing my main character, which is what, if you were at all glanced up at all during the sprint, was a lot of the really me thinking, looking really confused moments on camera. Because right now, my antagonist doesn't oppose my main character at all. He opposes really my main character's girlfriend. So that's like one of the big things. When we have neighbors we usually have an open door policy. It's a good policy when you have neighbors you like. We don't know our new neighbors too well. We've kind of gotten on like a first name basis with the family that lives kind of across the street, and then like diagonal across the street from us. They seem like really nice people, but we don't like invite each other over, kind of a thing, which just those hellos when we see each other outside. The neighbors next door, there's an elderly couple that lives next door, and the older man, he has dementia. So every so often he shows up on our doorstep and knocks, and can't really understand what he's saying because he mumbles as well. But like, we're pretty friendly with him. His wife will come and get him and everything. She takes care of him. And then we see them walking up and down the street a lot because he likes to go for little walks up and down the block. But hey, Charlie, good to see you. So I'm going to try and get through the stream today. I'm starting to feel it already with my asthma and me having allergies. So if the stream gets cut a little bit short, I do apologize. but I'm going to do my best to try and get some writing in today because I really this like I said, it was really this dream that turned into a okay idea yesterday was really eating at me, and the fact that I couldn't get to writing yesterday just drove me absolutely nuts. Because when I have what I think is a great idea that keeps nagging at me, I just want to write on it. That's all I want to do. But of course, life took precedence yesterday. Also, it would have been a little hard for me to write yesterday because I didn't have any gummy bears. I was all out of gummy bears. But fortunately, I had to walk down and get some cat food for the outdoor cats yesterday at like the CVS or Walgreens or whatever's down on the corner. So I walked down and did that. No reason I should be yawning. And of course, they had like share-sized bags of my most favorite recent addiction for a gummy product, which are the Haribo or Haribo, however it's pronounced, twin snakes. These are like half of the snake is sweet and half of the snake is sour, and they are amazing because they're gummy products. And I use gummy products to write. Everything I have ever written has been written with gummy products. Like usually gummy bears, that's my big thing. Sometimes Sour Patch Kids, but most often gummy bears. But now it's been like lately, I've just really been on the twin snakes, and it's my partner's fault for bringing them home one day just randomly. He was at the convenience store and was like, "Oh, it's a gummy product. Maybe they'll be pretty good," and they're like freaking addicting. Ooh. Jesus. I'm yawning a ton. It's probably because I can't really deeply breathe, I'm sure. What now? Hey, what now? Oh, I love being an incandescent creature. I'm good with that. I'll go with that. So Charlie and what now, and Sean, what are you going to be working on today? I am working on, like I said, a dream. That is an idea that's nagging at me. So I'm hoping, or nagged at me all day yesterday. So I am hoping that I can actually get it outlined just a little bit. Pardon me while I puff. Just usually a different kind of puff than what I prefer usually. But yeah, so how do you all outline? Do you use like traditional outlining methods? Are you like an index carder? Like, what is it or how is it that you normally use to outline? Because I'm always interested to like see what other writers do for their outlines. I like it. Apparently keep yawning today. I need to keep chugging my... That's weird. My computer just like totally like skipped around and did all sorts of weird shit. I think it's done doing weird stuff. It's like the screen started blinking at me and flashing at me and doing like weird shit. What now is also being occupied by a dream. Yeah, so I remember, like, people are always like, oh, you're so lucky that you remember your dreams. I remember all of my dreams. My computer's still doing really weird stuff, y'all. Like, monitors are like blinking at me weird and resetting themselves and just doing all sorts of weird stuff. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, weird gremlins today. So yeah, I can remember every single one of my dreams, and all of my story ideas come from dreams. Like, no joke. Usually the dreams don't amount to anything. They usually just end up being... What is going on? I have like serious technical issues. Like with computers, just like my whole second screen just completely blitzed out, like blinked out on me just now. Okay, I think I fixed it. It's no longer blinking at me. So yeah, like, so I remember my dreams, and I always have to like almost immediately get up and like start trying to turn them into something productive. Half the time, like I said, or not even half the time, probably 90% of the time, they don't amount to shit. Like, I can't make heads or tails out of them. Sometimes I can make heads or tails out of them, but then once I start getting into them, they're really boring and they're just like dull stories. And I'm like, I don't know why I was so fascinated by that in my dream, because that's just a really boring story, but it probably had dream magicalness. So, and dream magicalness makes everything like outstanding. Spence's outline method is hella extra. Kind of interested in what is considered hella extra, because I go pretty above and beyond with my outlining, as far as like getting off on weird tangents and doing like just some shit that you're like, why did you even need to know that your person's favorite color, what your antagonist's favorite color is, kind of a thing. But it's just whatever comes to my mind goes into my document, not like into the document, but goes into the Bible. So I know the most random shit for my characters. Cordy's in the house. Hey, Chica, how you been? Charlie is world building for the RPG project, falling down the Tug Waddle hole, and love everything that is coming out of my warped little mind. Yeah, that's good. That is good. What now? Generally make sure that they know where they want to go and mark out important waypoints along the way. Inside that frame, I let it bloat and evolve like the occult ecosystem it is. Spence follows a beat sheet of some kind, depending on the project, and then writes a chapter-by-chapter outline based on that, and then I do at least one more draft of an outline after that. Sometimes I'll do 3. I do a ton of drafts as well. Like, I do my beats. I do my character profiles. I do my beats. Then I don't do a chapter-by-chapter outline. I'll do my 0 draft after I do my beats. And then I usually do between 1 and 4 drafts after that, depending on the project and length of project. Just Eve is here. Yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. No rum for me today, but I might get some a little bit later, because tomorrow is the winter solstice and we'll all be on Sakotumi's channel for the longest night tomorrow evening, starting at 7:30. I think 7:30 Eastern time. Shit, I can't remember now. Yeah, I've got it set on a timer or on a reminder. But I might get some rum to go in with my wonderful choice of beverages for tomorrow. Or some Baileys. Ooh, Baileys actually sounds really good. Might have chai and Baileys all night. Charlie slapdashes outlines together as they go, staying just ahead of their story. Then I generally know how they will end, just not how. Yeah. But now my worlds and characters take on lives of their own really quickly. I've given up trying to control that. Yeah, Mine used to do that a lot. Like, they would just completely morph out of my control and just like become their own entities. Over the last few years, I've actually gotten much better at being able to control them, or not control them, but I guess being able to predict them. They still do surprise me every so often, but yeah. Cordy's been super stressed with work and super depressed, honestly, but you know what's new with that. Try to construct a Christmas present for my dad in the meantime while waiting on my sis, who may or may not be going into labor. Awesome. I didn't know your sister was pregnant. But that's, you know, I guess I just didn't realize. But that is awesome. So that you may have do you know niece or nephew at this point? Or is it going to be a surprise? And hopefully, if may or may not be going into labor, it's on time and, on time and healthy and everything. So if I let myself world build in my fantasy too much, I end up changing the entire story. It's been 3 entirely different stories. I suck at world building. Eva, I'm sure you don't suck at world building. But stories do change as you get to doing world building and outlining sometimes. They just do. Spence doesn't bother with character outlines, though. I have to start with the character outlines because for me, they really shape my goal, my external character goals. Because I found that if I don't do character outlines before I start my beats, my MCs end up, especially my protagonists, end up being very two-dimensional and very flat. They end up being kind of like Mary Sue's. And so that's what made me start doing the character profiles right away. Because it allowed me to start writing on the project and be like, oh, well, there's no conflict here. There's nothing for this character to overcome. And they're just, like a goody. And so Just Eva says we're doing our holiday tomorrow and Tuesday. Eve gifts tomorrow and morning gifts Tuesday. The Mr. works the rest of the week. Yeah, so I'm actually off tomorrow and Tuesday. My partner works those days. He's off Christmas Eve, and I have to work on Christmas Eve, at least briefly. They're debating on if they're going to give us, they knew they were going to give us a half day, but they're thinking about even making it less than that, just having us there for a couple hours, which I think is stupid. I mean, why have us clock in at all, especially for the people that are still going to the office. I'm working from home, but for everybody that would actually have to get up and drive in the metro area through traffic and do all of that, it just, ugh. But yeah, so, but we both have, dang it, I can't stop today. But we both have Christmas off. So I just wish he had tomorrow and Tuesday off with me. But, it'll be fine. We'll probably do where we open one or maybe two gifts tomorrow with each other, like tomorrow evening, since he'll have to work on Tuesday morning with each other. And then for Christmas Day, we'll open the rest of the gifts tomorrow. We try to kind of spread it out, although it doesn't really matter to him or I if we open presents on Christmas. If we get to open them on Yule, if we open all of them on Yule, he's fine with that. If we wait until Christmas, he's fine with that too. So, What Now says there's always a danger of letting world building setting stuff overwhelm character or character warp setting. There's a sweet spot that must be exploited like a natural resource by force. There is a sweet spot. To not having your world and your setting just overshadow your characters and or vice versa. There really is kind of a sweet spot, and it can be hard to achieve and it can be hard to maintain through a project, especially if you're doing a longer project, like you're doing a much longer book, like if you're doing something that's more of an epic fantasy or sci-fi or historical fiction. Versus if you're doing a book series, even, because eventually the world building gets so intense in a series that it really can, even though your first book starts off really strong with a good balance, your second book may end up being more setting heavy or more character heavy, and then by your third book could be even more so. So Eva sending Q Christmas hugs, gonna be an auntie for Christmas, which is sweet. Nephew, and he's 6 days late. Okay. You very well hope. God, I don't know if I wish her labor on Yule or not, but it would be amazing if he were born like the on the longest night, because that's the god being returned, you know, and like the light being returned to the world, which that would be kind of just cool, just to have that be nice and coincidental like that. But also having your birthday on a holiday just sucks, even though Yule is not like a holiday like Christmas and having to have that holiday birthday. But for, I guess it would just depend. Eva says my son was due the 13th of December. Was he due the 13th of December? That's fine. Yeah. And my son came on the 5th, but would have come on the 8th anyway. The 13th was a Friday, and his 13th would have been on a Friday, though. Ow. Yeah, that'd be fun. Streamer jumped. Spence guesses they do character sheets, outlines. Always forget the 5 days of just brain dumping on notepads while I work all that stuff out. It's just not as organized as the outline. Yeah. So I didn't used to be really organized as far as my character sheets and outlines. And for those of you that I am like making yawn by reflex of seeing me yawn, I am so sorry. I don't know what got into me. I have not been yawning up until just recently. Yeah, so mine used to be really kind of disorganized with just notepads of just stuff dumped in there. I've gotten more organized about it recently, but just in the last couple of years. He says this year it makes little difference on which date we celebrate. It's just the three of us, no matter when. His office is open all hours, so someone's got to work. Yeah, I spent so many years working. I worked 911 for a long time. And before that, I worked retail. And retail is just open. And 911 never closes. So there was always just somebody's got to work. So usually I gave up like Christmas Eve and Christmas Day holidays since I didn't celebrate them, but my family does. And so they would get so mad at me. And I'd just be like, I could video call, I can call in, I can see you guys whenever, but they'd get mad at me. But they wouldn't go out of their way to celebrate on my holiday, which usually I was able to take off. Eva likes to start a short story for a character that they're not sure about or need to know better. Those stories inevitably make the world larger in the fantasy is all. Yeah. I use those short stories sometimes, though. Like, I'll use them later to help build hype for books. I did that with my very first book, Sister Light. That's not available anymore. It's not in print anymore. But I used some short stories to build hype. And they were basically short stories that I did for character development purposes and for world building purposes. So they can be used. And then later you can have fun with them. You can make prequels out of them. You can make sequels out of them. You can make like little in-betweeny shorts out of them and put them together in box sets. So one says, given his trepidation, I think he knows what I intend to do to him. Yep, the cusp baby is cool. I am a cusp baby. Only I'm a cusp baby for the summer solstice. I was my birthday is June 19th. So right there I'm not like perfect cusp baby, but pretty close to being right there. Okay. Well, that said, let's do another 20-minute sprint. I have these, Mr. Timer has these fun holiday timers, so I've got a whole bunch of them all queued up. So we will do another 20-minute sprint. Starting in 3, 2, 1, sprint! All right. Beep 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 beep. All right. The second sprint is up. How did everybody do? I came to a huge revelation in my doing my character profiles as I was going through doing the take your pants off outline with the starting with my protagonist for the story. As I was going through it, I realized my protagonist is not my protagonist. Yeah. So I had to completely backtrack. What I thought was a secondary character is actually the best protagonist for the story. So that changes like everything around that I was just ruminating on for the last like 24 hours, basically. Every idea I had, every little plot twist and curveball that I could throw at the reader is completely changed. The story itself almost entirely changes. I know this is going to be a paranormal story. It's going to be urban fantasy. There are going to be fae in it. There's probably going to be some type of magical element or magic that's going to be in it. There are definitely going to be otherworldly elements like having the second sight and things like that. I know all of those are going to be in it, but this might, with changing it to what I thought was a secondary character was a supporting character being my main character, which is actually the most viable candidate for the overcoming the external or overcoming the flaws and everything, or overcoming a flaw, I guess I should say. It might actually lend this story more towards being a paranormal romance, which is a little different for me. Some people say that A Touch of Darkness, my first book in the Metaphysical Chronicles series, the Abigail St. Michael's books, some people say and compare that to being a paranormal romance because it does have a heavy romantic element to it. But I wrote it with the mysteries in mind, but it does have a heavy romance angle to it. So, I can see with that one, but in general, the paranormal, or in general, I don't write much in the way of romance. I have written some stuff in the past that's not been published, but so we're going to see. I don't know. As soon as it came to me that this story is that my protagonist needed to be a completely different character, it was like a screeching grinding of the gears, and I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And I didn't struggle as badly, which to me tells me that I'm probably going in the right direction with the story, since it's flowing a little easier. That's not always like, writing is hard and words have trouble coming to everybody. Story ideas have trouble coming, have difficulty or are difficult for everyone. I can't even talk today, y'all. I don't know what is up with me. But I definitely think that when you are on the right track with a story idea, the ideas come easily. It's just how to implement them sometimes can be difficult. So the ideas were coming to me much, much easier once I realized that I had the wrong lead for the story. And then things were easily kind of falling into place. Now there are some places where I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going to do in this spot quite yet. And there's also the concern that the story is not going to be robust enough to be an actual novel. That may end up just being a novella, or may end up just being a short story. But I'm going to go through the process and see where I land at. So Spence was saying that they were thinking of writing more short stories and flash fiction, thinking about posting them to Instagram. And I had agreed. I've considered doing that as well in the past with some of my shorter fiction that I've done and some of my short stories. I just haven't gotten there yet. I've written them. I've written a whole bunch of little short stories for the Metaphysical Chronicles, the paranormal mystery series that I have. I've written a bunch of little short stories that are little one-offs or slice of lives of characters, potential characters within that world, to see who I wanted to do spinoffs with, but I've never actually like published them anywhere, or I don't even think I've actually shown them to anyone. Yeah, no, I don't think I've even shown them to anyone. Maybe, oh, okay, and I take that back. I've taken them to my critique groups a couple times, but they haven't gone anywhere yet. They may or may not go into a box set later as like added stuff. They may or may not go into like on the Kindle version of the books, just as a little added thing for Kindle readers. I haven't done that yet with them. I may do that. I don't know. So Just Eva loves the idea that Spence has, that they really enjoy little snippet stories, the sort that they're reading before they realize they're even reading them. Yeah, I enjoy those. Like where you just like, oh, I just thought this was going to be like a blurb, and then you realize it actually turns out to be a whole story. Cordy finished crafting a fake dumpster for my dad's present box. A fake dumpster. Okay. As a present. Okay. I'm not sure. Stop Motion Life stepped in. Hey, good to see you, my writing weirdo. Come and have some fun with us. One of my favorite weirdos. Okay, Weird is here. Stop Motion Life is going to be catching up on school through this stream. That's totally fine. My partner is in the background right now, catching up on their school, trying to like cram in the last little bit of school so that they can actually have like a solid 2-week Christmas break, winter break. Your dad is a dumpster diver. Okay. That makes a little more sense because I'm like, what? Maybe, the whole dumpster fire thing, like signifying that. But I wasn't sure. So he's going to dumpster dive for some gift cards I got him. Fun. I like that. I like just being able to like do that little play, to have fun with like his personality and the things that he does, and then actually giving him a gift that I like. It tickles me. Okay, yeah. So, so like I got to that point and realized that like pretty much the whole first sprint and everything I had brainstormed yesterday was just like for naught, which happens a lot. Maybe it doesn't happen as much to other writers as it does to me, but it happens to me all the time where I will put in an immense amount of work on something. I mean, not saying today was an immense amount of work, but on other projects in the past, other ideas in the past, I will put in a ton of work on ideas, and then all of a sudden it's just like I've been like totally approaching this from the wrong angle this whole time. Stop Motion Life says, same. I am cramming in school so I can have a 2-week break. Yeah. He was really hoping to like have this weekend to just have a weekend to relax, and then he realized that he just had to cram in the last little bit of homework, and I think it was labs he's working on specifically, in order to just be able to take a couple weeks off and be able to relax. I felt bad for him because he really, really, really deserves a weekend where he could just relax. But, like our Jeep needed to be worked on and the house needed to be cleaned, and he had homework. So, it is what it is. Adulting is hard. God damn it. Yep, the asthma and the allergies are bad today. All right, let's do another sprint. So you get as many sprints done or in as possible. See if we can not get an ad, maybe get an ad. Maybe. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and bring up the second. Stop Motion says they're doing science. He is doing, computer science, but he's in cybersecurity. So, like, I don't know exactly what he's doing. Something to do with virtual boxes, something like that. I don't know. Okay, word, I really don't know what I'm doing. I had an idea pop in my head, and it's just a vague concept of emotion at the moment. I feel you. So what I was telling everybody at the beginning of the stream is I had a dream, of course, and it's vague as hell. And so I spent yesterday just kind of trying to make it, get rid of all the junk of the dreaminess of it that is just not realistic and you can't make, nobody will suspend disbelief for, and then actually make it into an idea. And I was able to do that fairly easily. So that tells me it wasn't just one of those dreams that was just fun, that it might actually be viable as a project. So that's what I am working on today. Hey, Lady Sky, Lady Writes Things. Good to see you, weirdo. It's okay if you're running late. That's all right. We're going to be on here for at least one more sprint and some more chatting, maybe a little longer. I don't know. It's for as long as my allergies and asthma are doing okay and or I can sustain kind of a thing. It's going to be at least 2 hours. I know that much. So a little bit longer. All right, let's do this other sprint in 3, 2, 1. Sprint. Beep, 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 beep. All right. So that was our third sprint. So I struggled a little bit because I realized that the dream that I had, which was the impetus of this plot idea, was not nearly thorough enough, wasn't robust enough to do a whole outline, a rough sketch, skeletal outline. So that meant that I had to like go back and revisit some things and start plugging in supporting characters, start plugging in supporting themes, subplots, and things like that in order to make the story a little more fleshed out. But it ended up actually making me sway a little bit in what I'm thinking the genre classification is going to be in this particular story. It was very heavily leaning towards being a paranormal romance, but I think it's going to be probably more of a classic urban fantasy good and evil tale now with some romantic elements, because that is going to weigh in there pretty heavily, because the romance angle is going to be the main ally for my character, for my protagonist. So we'll see. I don't know yet. But it is definitely filling out more, which I'm very happy about. And let's just go ahead and actually show you guys a little bit of what I'm working on. We're going to have a little inception moment here. But now if I can get over to my other screen, there we go. So hopefully everybody can see this. So I'm on Story Planner. You guys can all see it up here. Story Planner to plan a better story. I'm doing the Take Your Pants Off outline. This plan is based on the method described by Libby Hawker in Take Your Pants Off, Outline Your Books for Faster, Better Writing. It starts with a character flaw, and it leads to 5 points that make up your story core. The plan created here can be used to guide your novel, but Libby's book also describes pacing and constructing scenes. We recommend reading the book to make full use of this method, which I have read the book, and it's a good book. So you can see I'm calling it my Fae Dream because that's my working title I'm going to work with. My main character is Casper Elijah Marcus. Casper has the gift of second sight, which allows him to see magic in general. It also allows him to a certain extent to wield magic kind of clumsily, but still being able to do so. His character flaw, he's cynical and bitter. He's angry at the way the world has treated his family members that have the gift of the second sight over the years. He has a long-standing hatred for the Fae because the Fae are tricksters and they trick magical humans or humans with innate magical ability into giving up their souls, which turns them into Fae. So that was the impetus. The impetus. That was basically the whole of the story that I had, and the dream that I had. The dream that I had was from a totally different person's point of view. But again, like I said, when I started doing the Take Your Pants Off outline today, I realized that person was not the strongest protagonist to have in the book or in the story, and that this supplementary character, Casper, would be probably a more robust character and lead to a more robust story. So then I switched. The end of the story is I want Casper eventually to overcome his anger. I want him to learn to accept his second sightness and that he himself is a magical being, and to learn that the Fae are not all tricksters and they're not all evil. So thinking about my character's external goal, his external goal is to destroy the Fae who are hunting humans and tricking them into giving up their souls and becoming Fae. Because the point of this goal should be to provide an opportunity for the character to recognize their weakness and change. So it's not the end goal. It's not the end point of the story. It's just the goal of the character. I have to think about the antagonist, which I have yet to name. He's just a fae that is tricking humans into giving up their souls and becoming fae. Just your run-of-the-mill type of fae. I don't know if I'm going to make him more ancient. Or he, she, it, they, whatever preferred pronoun. I don't know yet. I'm going to have to get into the character profiles. I'm really going to have to delve down and dive deep on the motivation and the origins of each character, because Casper is the only one that I really know about at the moment. Here's where my character's ally is, which my ally is going to be Ronnie. Also happens to be, Ronnie is short for Rondalyn, who is a new friend to Casper that Casper is falling in love with, and she happens to be fae. Dun, dun, dun. See, this is where I realized, oh, this is probably going to be more of a paranormal romance than just a straight up urban fantasy. But as we go further down, we start to lean more back towards the urban fantasy with light romantic elements, which is more my style, honestly, anyway. I have a hard time just writing straight up romantic elements or romance in general, even if it has a paranormal twist to it. So here, my theme of the general story is I want it to be ditching preconceived notions. I want it to be living a life without anger, acceptance, yada, yada. Step 7, we're getting into thinking about the plot. So yeah, the opening scene, I mean, that is a big deal. So it's going to be what sets the stage and ideally addresses either the character's flaw or the theme. So this one, I really had to think about this, step 7, because I had an idea for how I wanted the book to be or how I want the story to be, but I hadn't yet come up with what was going to be the inciting moment, what is going to be what leads up to why even this is being addressed or why this is worthwhile for my freaking reader to read. So Casper's best friend is tricked into becoming fae, forfeiting their soul, and he vows to destroy all fae using his gift of the second sight that he has inherited from his family, who have either been killed in their battles with the fae or institutionalized for having the gift of the second sight or become fae. Or become fae themselves. So I had to add that to them. Inciting incident, what boots your character out of everyday reality. Casper's best friend is tricked into becoming a fae. The fae feed on magically born humans or quote-unquote true believers. I don't know how that true believers thing really falls in there, other than, they're true believers in that they see magic and know magic, wield magic. I don't know. That'll require more fleshing out. Character here realizes the external goal. What makes your character seek his goal? This is probably going to change here because but I've got falling in love with a fae, which is Ronnie/Rondalyn, which is what Ronnie is short for. I have a display of flaw here. I really haven't put it in here. I think people are going to see kind of from the beginning that he's cynical and bitter and angry towards the fae. So I don't think I'm necessarily going to have a display of the flaw per se. A drive for the goal. What will your character do on his first attempt to reach his external goal? I've got accept help from Ronnie, which is actually not accurate anymore. This was part of the first when I had a different MC to begin with. So this is going to have to change. So I might as well just take this out of here. Antagonist revealed. What scene will show your antagonist's opposition to your character? The fae tries to get Casper institutionalized, or maybe just tries to kill him. Not quite sure yet. That's not really going to, I don't think that's really going to do the story justice. So I don't know. I'm still thinking there. Thwart number 1. What happens to thwart your character when he tries to reach his goal? I've got the Fae plants evidence on Ronnie that she was the one who tricked Casper's best friend into giving up their soul. Not sure about this one either. Revisiting the flaw, Casper tries to kill Ronnie because of mistrust and anger issues. We'll see. New drive for goal. Don't have anything in there yet. Antagonist attacks. Tries to get Casper committed. See, some of these I'm really not sure about yet because I need more than just 2 hours worth of a stream in order to go through all these plot points and like try and figure them all out. Thwart number 2. Your character should fail here. What is the result of the antagonist attack? Casper isn't hospitalized, but does end up alienating the rest of his family when they realize he is as crazy as some of the others in his family. He gets kicked out of his home, maybe, is given a place to stay by Ronnie, becomes like a black sheep to his family, has to learn to rely on a Fae who, he's learned that she's a Fae by now. Changed goal, don't have anything in there yet. Ally attacks. I've got here, like, what does your character's ally do to make your character see his flaw and know it needs fixing? This would be Ronnie maybe showing Casper the mirror portal that she had that leads to the Fae world, gives him a secret way to destroy the antagonist Fae, whom I have not named. If found out, doing so means that she'll be exiled from her homeworld and cut off from magic. So that could be a big deal. That could get my protagonist towards realizing that not all Fae are evil and to let go of some of his anger and his mistrust issues. Girding the loins. Your character now realizes that what he must do in a final drive to win. How can you show your character's awakening or change mental state? Maybe rather than using Ronnie's mirror, which would be an easy way for him to attack the bad guy, Casper maybe chooses to undergo a ritual that's dangerous to both him and the human world in order to attack the bad guy, which I think would be fun. The battle, of course. So it'd be too easy for him to just attack the bad Fae, the antagonist Fae. So I think I'm going to throw that best friend who's now a Fae in there and make him have to battle his best friend. So death. This is where the character's flaw dies, specifically. Not that there's a death in the story, although there could be. Your character kills off his old self, rather. And what is going to happen here to show my character is different. Despite his best friend being Fae and his burning need to kill the antagonist, he can't bring himself to do it, even though they're both Fae. He just can't bring himself to kill them. I don't know about that entirely yet. Here's the outcome. I didn't get this far because the timer went off. So yeah, that kind of gives you guys a glance at what I've been working on for this stream, and my thought processes and how I bounce around with ideas a lot. I'm probably going to have at least a good 3, 4, 5 more hours worth of work on just this part of the Take Your Pants Off outline before I even get into character profiles. So that's just, I know me and I know my process, and there's a lot in there that I am still really uncertain about and that doesn't feel like it's solid enough and that it's a, good enough story for a reader yet. But there are some bare bones in there that I can try to pack some meat onto. And then, of course, I know me. I'm going to go up on my little mirrored doors that are over here in front of me, and I'm going to take a dry erase marker, and I'm going to start going through character stuff and world building stuff and everything like that in order to better flesh it out and pack some more meat onto the story. Because for me, having a decent little story idea is not enough. I want to make sure that my stories are like are hearty and just, I don't want a basic straightforward story that has a simple subplot or two to it. I like having complicated stories. I like having difficult story, not difficult to read, but I like having stories that the world is difficult and that the things are not as easy to overcome. The external goals are not as easy to achieve, and the end point of the story is not as easy to achieve. So Cordy started editing the last of the bulk videos, which is good. I have to, make me think about the videos. I actually have a ton of, so here are my notes for videos that I have starting at the first of the year. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos worth of notes so far that I need to do. That more than likely I'm probably going to start recording tomorrow, I'm going to say, before tomorrow night's celebration for solstice. And I am looking forward to getting back to doing curated content, but also not. I want to start doing it again because I have all these ideas, and I haven't done any curated content for a while, but I've also been enjoying the non-pressure of just having a stream like once a week and not having to do a video on top of a stream, plus co-hosting on other streams, plus doing pop-ups, as things come, you know how it is. But that's just me being lazy. And, so I'm not going to continue to just be lazy. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I want. I want a pot roast instead of chicken soup. I want a very complex and dense story that no matter what reader gets a hold of it is going to find more than one element that they enjoy. I like surprises in a story, and I like complicated storylines. So that's what I like to write, since that's what I like to read. Don't get me wrong, a simple little story can be fine sometimes, but I don't want that very often. So yeah, that's what I worked on tonight, weirdos. I'm glad that everybody could join me for a little bit to hang out on just me deciding willy-nilly, hey, I had this idea and I really need to start getting it out of my brain before I start losing more fingernails, because I have just, this is when my anxiety gets me, is when I have, it's not usually life stuff where the anxiety gets me. It is usually story stuff where I keep turning it over and over so much in my brain and don't actually get started on it that it becomes detrimental to my poor little fingernails and my little fingertips. So anyway, weirdos, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really have valued everybody being here and just popping in here when you just saw me pop up for a stream. And I will let you know how this project keeps going. Now I am going to have to go do some grocery shopping for a little bit and then come back and probably write on the third book in my paranormal mystery series, because normally Sundays are dedicated to that. And I took time out today to do this other project eating away at my brain instead. So yay, the funness of being a writer. All right, I will see everybody later. Thank you again.